Hello everyone and welcome to Madhouse Hobbies, the very first video for Madhouse Hobbies on YouTube in fact. I'm Richard. Madhouse Hobbies is my very minuscule little hobby, let's say company. I do some commission painting every now and again. I have a website, madhousehobbies.co.uk. Check it out. It's really nothing special because I've never built a website before, so doing my best to use Squarespace to build something functional. And at some point, if things go well, I'll look at getting it done professionally by someone who actually knows what they're doing, because that's not me, let's be honest. I'll go through what I picked up at the expo. Not a lot, you'll see. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. So cool. What am I using, you may ask? Well, I've gone really technical with this. I have my hobby light to light me. As you can tell, the lighting isn't great, but it'll do for now until such time as I can get a better setup where I'm not sat at my dining room table, which hasn't been a dining room table since I made it. It has been my hobby space because our old dining room table was an IKEA piece of crap that just wobbled around all the time. You couldn't lean on it with in fear of it collapsing under your weight. So I made this much more sturdy one. However, this also wobbles a little bit. There's a little bit of flex in the legs, which you're always going to have with a table, let's be honest. So when I eventually move into my new hobby space, which is going to be in a room over that way, I will have a much larger desk area. I'm hoping to set up a bit of a U-shaped desk situation with the space for my painting setup, my monitor and keyboard and such for recording, and somewhere for photographing completed projects for then uploading online in the future. I don't know when in the future because half of my house right now is a building site. I'm in the middle of making it bigger for my family, but we're also living here, and it takes time, a long time. It's been 2 years so far, and it's wearing slightly. I digress. So we have my hobby lamp. We also have this terrifying little lens over here, which is a HD webcam, a Logitech HD webcam. I forget the model number, but that's not important. I also have a DSLR camera over there that I want to be using for top-down recording shots. I will eventually, I say eventually, sooner rather than later, hopefully, pick up some form of decent quality camera arm that I can have either leaning over this way or this way or somewhere. I was possibly looking at a full arch one that will clamp to both sides of the table with the camera in the middle, and that will be my top-down shots of when I am painting. I want to do some painting tutorials, some beginner stuff, and showing different techniques and so on and so forth. And then if people like some of the models that I do, or some of the models that I've done that are showcased on my page, I'll do some tutorials on the color schemes that I use and things like that. I also want to do box reviews, like a review on this thing. This is the Emperor's Children box, which I got when it came out. It's been sat there waiting to be built, but I kind of want to do it for a video, which I haven't really had time to do yet because it's been crazy busy. Time is something that I could do with more of, but what are you going to do? It's life. You film when you can. I'm sure all other beginner YouTubers feel the same. And yes, so we've done light, we've done camera, we have a second camera, which is the aforementioned DSLR, which I've never really used before. It's been a recent purchase. We took it on holiday with us. We took a load of photos of a zoo when we went to Colchester Zoo, which was lovely. Other than that, I've not really been able to use it for what I want to use it for, other than taking photos of images in my homemade light box, which I'm still figuring out the settings for that, to be honest. Yeah, again, this whole thing is a learning curve. It's one big journey. And then microphone-wise, I have this thing. It's a little lav mic. It is a Sub-Zero lav mic. There's another one in here, which if I ever happen to interview anyone, which would be kind of cool, they have one to have on their collar or lapel or tie or wherever they feel like putting it that's actually going to pick up volume. These will be used until such time as I get an actual mic arm with a better quality mic. Yeah, so that's what I'm using right now. In terms of my recording setup, that is it. I have light, camera, mic, and myself sat in my building site of a dining room with a fish tank behind me and my daughter's high chair over there, and some more of my hobby setup right here with my airbrush compressor without a tank, and it makes a bit of noise when using it because it just constantly compresses when you're pulling the trigger. More paints behind that. We have more paint down there, along with the bits box with all my spare bits and basing materials. And in the lovely Disney Lady in the Tramp bag is a load of models that I take with me when I go to my workshop and build at lunchtime. We have more paint over there, in that box, and that box, and that box. We have my airbrush waiting to be used, sat over by my monitor. We have kitchen roll, keeping things from getting too dusty. We have more paint, and we have models, like this guy. Really looking forward to painting him. This guy was supposed to be my Iron Skull entry. We'll get into that, shall we? Yes, and we have the many use of kitchen roll, which goes over the top to keep them from getting too dusty while they're sat here waiting for me to paint. Underneath that box is my wet palette. If you are a viewer of the Paint Perspective podcast, you'll know that they like to just use, well, some of them like to just use Tupperware boxes, like from TK Maxx, and some Blitz kitchen roll, and some greaseproof paper or baking sheet, whichever you want to call it, to make up their wet palette. I am one of the people who went out and bought the Red Grass Games XL wet palette, which, to be fair, I do love. Don't drop anything. One Red Grass Games wet palette with a brush stuck on it. It's got all my stickers on it, or some of my stickers on it, because I get a lot from Element Games, for those who don't know. I find it very handy in a limited workspace because you can still do things on top of it without having to shuffle everything around all the time. The top of the lid of it essentially acts as a cutting mat for me for when I'm having to do some like puttying or anything like that. I can just, well, this box gets moved out of the way anyway because I need to do that to get to my wet palette. I'll move the box out of the way. The lid will come off. I'll use my wet palette. If I then want to cut something, the lid can go back on the wet palette, and I can cut on top of it, and that's fine. If it gets a bit scratched, I don't mind. I might get a new one day. I don't know. It depends. If this ever actually breaks, I can't see it breaking because it doesn't really go anywhere. And yes, that is my compact, somewhat messy hobby setup with my computer monitor right in front of me, keyboard on the table because I don't have a wireless one, my very annoying wired wired mouse over here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to when I have my proper hobby setup because I'll have loads more room and room to have all of my paint out so I can get to all the colours I don't normally use. More storage for the models that are built ready to paint, and ongoing projects because I have a few of them that I'd like to get done. I have a tournament that I'm going to at the Tabletop Tactics studio on the 29th of August. I'm planning on using an army that I've used previously, my Votan army, but I would like to get them painted better because they are very, very basically painted right now, and it's not really a good showing for somebody who's supposed to do commission painting and high-end painting, is it? Having a really dodgily, mostly unfinished, technically, army. Like I said, time is that wonderful thing that no one seems to have enough of. Cool. So we've done hobby setup. We've done video setup. Eventually, I say eventually again, hopefully sooner rather than later, I will have a decent mic on a mic arm that I can use. So this thing isn't poking me in the chin the entire time. I'll have a better light. This is more face on than top down, because at the minute this is just showing how tired I look. And then for when I'm doing my painting videos, again, I mentioned the camera arm slash arch. If I get the arch, I can have a light on it as well, which would be handy, and the mic and everything. But that's for a more permanent setup, not for here. And I need to see if it would actually work with a U-shaped desk. So research needed. And if anyone like me is also looking to start out, these are the types of things I'm using. You can see for yourself what the quality is like, and if you wanted to try doing it yourself. All got this off. Actually, no, I didn't get these off Amazon. I think I got these off the Sub-Zero website. But you can find something similar on Amazon. There are loads of them about. The webcam, again, Logitech HD webcam, that was just off Amazon. I've had this light for quite a long time. This was just off Amazon. I'd love to get one of the Redgrass Games lights, because they've got the twin arms that can move around and the proper color balance and all that kind of stuff. I'd love to get one of them. Redgrass, if you're listening, I'd love a sponsor. Not that that's ever going to happen. So I'll have to wait until I have a spare couple £100 because they are expensive, but they're worth it because it's proper hobby light for hobbyists and painters. Everything is the right color. Nothing is washed out. It's like using this, if it's too close, everything would just look really washed out. Or in a lot of cases, everything seems a lot brighter when you're painting under the lamp, and then you take it under a normal light and everything is really dark. Had that with what's in here, which I will show you shortly. Yes, some upgrades needed. Some upgrades will happen eventually. I just need funds mainly, and ideally a more dedicated hobby space. I don't want to upgrade everything for where I'm sat here and then it not work when I go in the new room. If anyone wants to have a look at the new room, then here it is. Work in progress, as you can see. I'll see if I can actually do any kind of video editing, because also never edited a video before in my life. I need to get some practice in on using Premiere Pro, which I've been paying for along with the other apps for a while, and just need to get some better use out of them. I've also got Illustrator, After Effects, what was the other one? InDesign, so on and so forth, for a few other hobby-related projects that I want to do, such as PDF tutorials. I have a Patreon page that's being set up, not finished yet because I haven't got anything to put on it yet. But there will be tutorial videos going on there. There will be PDF tutorials that you can follow along with. I just need to come up with a layout that I am happy with that translates well to the person reading it, following along with it. Plenty of pictures, a good list and rundown of what I use. And I'll say this now, and I'll say it a lot. I won't be showing you the only way to paint. I will be showing you how I do it. This is how I like, and how the methods that I have sort of grown into. So these are the ones that I've just sort of gelled with, should we say, over time. It's the methods that I've just sort of gotten used to using. That's not to say I'm not open for change. My painting style right now is quite clean. It's very much in line with the heavy metal style, because that's what you see a lot of, especially when you're looking at box art stuff. But the heavy metal style is for a reason. It is to show off every bit of detail on the model to the best they can. I quite like a more atmospheric kind of paint job. I'm a big fan of NMM, non-metallic metal. I don't mind TMM when it's done well. That's a whole other learning curve in itself, because you've got to do learn a lot about shading well, using the right kind of paint, the right colors for what you're doing. So gold, for example, you could use red, like a crimson, like a dark red crimson kind of wash for shading into the dark points, but sometimes you might want to go a bit darker. Using metallics, I'm not a fan of metallics. I don't really like metallic paint, but then I've never found one that actually works that well. It's something that I need to look more into. But using them well is something I want to learn. Getting out of the fact that, like the old train of thought where you can't really mix metallics with anything. Of course you can. It's acrylic paint. You can mix it with whatever the hell you like. So you're mixing metallics with different colors for increasing the brightness and the saturation, and working with it that way to do some TMM. But I've always been a big fan of NMM, like I mentioned. Getting that right is some kind of magic, it seems, because you really need to know where your light source is coming from, where the highlights are going to be, where the real bright spots are going to be. It's something that I've been trying to practice. Not so much lately, because like I said, I've been doing more box art stuff, so that is using metallics. Yeah. Techniques to practice. Like I say, I'm by no means a master painter, but I feel I can teach. So I can certainly teach the basics and how to do it well, and then working on different processes and showing how to do different techniques like glazing, blending, so on and so forth, and see how that goes. So yes, videos like that and PDF tutorials like that are going to be on my Patreon page. As I say, when I come up with a design, a layout for those tutorials that I am happy with. I'd like to do a bit of sculpting as well, sculpting and converting, which can also be put into documents and videos on Patreon. I'd like to do some interview videos, chatting to other people in the hobby community. Peach would be a cool one to interview, let's be honest. I have met him once and he was really, really nice. I'd love to have a proper conversation with him. I'd love to have a proper conversation with Duncan, because I think his painting style is quite good. It's very quick, it's very efficient. I'd like to try his paint range as well. I didn't manage to get back to his stand at the expo this weekend to pick any of that up, but I will show you what I have got. What else? Like I said, box reviews and unboxing stuff. Checking out new sprues for the new kits. I would quite like to do codex reviews, but I can do a codex review. I can go through what's in the book. What I can't do, or I'm less likely to be able to do, because I'm not a massive gamer, is go through all the real kick-ass units in a book. I'll give you my opinions on what I read. For instance, the new Death Guard book, which I've seen reviews on, they seem insanely powerful in the game. They're basically Chaos Custodians at this point that move a little bit slower, but they have a lot more on the board. But doing reviews on things like that, I would have loved to have got a review copy of the Space Wolf box that's coming out, so I could do a review copy on that and get some models painted up to show you ready for the release. But alas, I have been far too late in starting doing this to ever get in any chance of having that kind of thing. Because I'm a massive Space Wolf fan. I love the Space Wolf range. I will probably do a video on the Codex, because there's a lot of things gone from the Codex, some of which are confusing and controversial, and I have my opinions on it, which again, I'll probably do that in a new video when I get the box, because I haven't got the box yet. I'm not one of those lucky people. I've got a list of something like 20 videos that I'm writing down notes for various topics that I want to cover, like introduction into the hobby, more on what Madhouse Hobbies is and how it started, where I want it to go, an introduction to various game systems. I want to cover more than just Games Workshop. I'd love to cover Star Wars Shatterpoint, because I love the models. I love the look of the models. I haven't actually got any yet. I really want to get the General Grievous box because General Grievous is one of my favorite characters from the prequel trilogy because he's just cool. I want to do some reviews on those kits. I want to do an intro into the game from a newbie's point of view because I never played the game. Same with Crisis Protocol. I think they're very similar. Star Wars Legion, maybe. I think that's losing a bit of popularity, but it's a game system I'd like to try out at some stage. And then there's a plethora of other games from IPs that probably hundreds and thousands of you have heard of that I've not really come across before. Things like Frostgrave and so on and so forth, and too many to name. Not really into the World War II and historical stuff. I'm more of a fantasy sci-fi kind of guy. That's what I like. So all that kind of genre, really. I've got an Infinity model, which I'd like to build and do a cool kind of paint job on. Something a bit different, hopefully. What else have I got in the cupboard? Oh yeah, Ravage Star. I'm sure anyone who's watching this has already heard of Mini Wargaming, and Mini Wargaming's Matt and Dave have, well, a couple of years ago now, they've built up their own tabletop war game inspired by everyone's favorite IP, but not ripping off everyone's favorite IP, mostly. And their models are really cool. They are one-piece models, so there's no assembly required. And I have my own thoughts on that, and I'll go into it when I do a video on them. But they look really cool, and they're coming out. They've got loads more on GameFound if you want to go and check that out. I was having a look myself yesterday, and I want to get some more of the kits eventually. I was hoping they were going to be at the expo this year, but they weren't. Quite sad, because I know they do dwarf-esque range, sci-fi dwarf-esque range, a bit like the Votan, but not Votan, which I was hoping to pick up one or two of the kits from. But again, I say they weren't. They went to the expo with Wayland like they were last year, sadly. But talking about the expo, my kids, my wife, and I all went to the Games Expo on Saturday, which was crazy busy. We went on Sunday last year, and it was a bit more maneuverable. Saturday was rammed full of people, as you'd expect. It was insanely warm in the NEC. I don't know if they turned the aircon off, or it just wasn't working, or wasn't good enough for the number of people that were in the place. So it was insanely warm. But it was a really, really good event. So many dice stalls. A lot of card stalls. There were lots of new and upcoming games. We didn't get to try any out because, a 5-year-old and an 18-month-old only have so long of an attention span. They were already getting frustrated. And bless my little boy, he was after a specific cuddly. He likes his cuddlies. He likes his Pokemon cuddlies, but in this instance, he was actually looking for a Sonic one, or in fact, Tails from the Sonic universe, which is a new fascination of his. Can't say I complain, because I grew up with Sonic on the Sega Mega Drive when I was a kid. Yes, unfortunately, he didn't find one though, but he did get a lovely little Vaporeon cuddly that he really, really likes, so he came home with something. Managed to catch up with the Siege Studios team. It was nice to speak to James, George, and Joe, actually, from the Paint Perspective podcast. I spoke to all three of them, and a couple of other people from the Siege team who are their painters, and Adam, who, along with James, has come up with the new Siege Scenics range, which I highly recommend trying out. I have some here that I'll show you in a second that I want to try it myself. I managed to speak to Pete the Wargamer, who's a really nice guy. I had a nice bit of a chat with his experience on Kickstarter, because I have my own project that I want to do on Kickstarter. It's nothing groundbreakingly new, unfortunately. It's a market that is growing, but I want to get my foot in that market. And I'll go into that briefly in a little bit. Yeah, had a brief chat with him when he had a second. So having a look at his dead animal parts basing kit, which was really, really cool. They had some really different bits on there that you don't really see, namely like big shark jaws. Who sees shark jaws on any of their kits ever? Kind of wish I got that actually, because it would have gone quite well with this project here. But I don't really think I'd have had the time to finish it as I would like it. He also has a new range that he's prototyped. Things you'd find in a wizard's study, I believe it is called. So scrolls, potions, all that kind of thing. It's very dual purpose. You can use it for sci-fi, you can use it for fantasy. I had a little look at those because he had the 3D prints that he was showing people. I think that's going up on Kickstarter soon. So check that out. They look really, really good. And I think he possibly has more coming in the future. You never know. I managed to see, but not speak to, Duncan from Duncan Rose Two Thin Coats. He was always talking to someone. There was always a bit of a queue. I didn't want to be that awkward guy to stand in a queue to then not really say anything and go for an awkward picture, because I find it all really awkward and it's not really me. Same deal with Dave from MS Paints. It would have been quite cool to talk to him, to be honest, because I do like a lot of his videos, and I think my son would have found his puppet very entertaining. But unfortunately, there was a good dozen people waiting in line to speak to him at the expo. So I didn't want to be that awkward person that stands in line to talk to someone, and then fumble over their words, not really have anything to say, because I get really awkward in that kind of situation. Andy Wardle was there on the Element game stand. He was doing some painting demos and things. It would have been cool to talk to him. I'd love to actually have a proper conversation with him, because I think he's a really, really good painter. I love his work. He was at MPO the weekend before as well. Again, didn't get to speak to him there, but he was one of the judges from MPO. Not the one that I managed to get feedback from, and I'll go into that a little bit in a minute. But yeah, I really like his stuff. I think it'd be a really cool interview to have. Again, much like PT, much like Duncan, much like Lawrence from Tabletop Tactics. I'd love to pick his brain on hundreds of things, because he is my main inspiration for wanting to start doing this kind of thing. Who else did I see? I spoke to a chap from, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. I don't think I actually got his name. From Villainy Inc. They do a really cool range of enamel weathering inks and things like that, which he showed me very quickly how to use. It's another one of those products where you'd use mineral spirits or white spirit to clean everything off. You essentially apply the ink all over the area that you want the effect on, and then use the spirits to clean it off. It's something that I'm going to hopefully do a video on at some point. I need to design the project that I want to use them on. I don't want to just use them on any old miniatures that I got, because it'll then commit me to that effect for the whole army, effectively, because that's what I have mostly of, is armies. But I've got some ideas brewing for that. And again, that leads me on to different painting styles, which is another video I want to do. Go through different painting styles from different painters. Fletcher Giles, for one, from Tabletop Tactics. I think he's a really, really good painter. Well, he's obviously a really good painter. He's won many awards. I really, really like his style of painting. It's not quite the whole grimy, grimdark-esque. Not the grimdark is all grimy and grungy kind of painting. But it's all that kind of style, but with really bright pops of colour on the parts that he wants really shown off. That's kind of the style that I'm edging towards, but not all the way there. And another video I want to do is just that, finding your own painting style. They may even be tied into the same video. I saw Mikey from Hellstorm Wargaming wandering around. I didn't get to speak to him. He's a character. I think that'll be an interesting chat. But it was a really lovely day. to be fair. My haul is very, very modest. I stopped by the Siege Scenic stand, as I mentioned. I picked up a selection of tufts with 2 projects in mind. I know it seems excessive for 2 projects. I have a couple of wintry packs. So I've got some wintry tufts, some proper snowy ones, and some more warmer wintry ones. I got some autumny themed tufts, which are a bit more red of hue, a bit warmer colours. These will largely be used in various ways on my Space Wolf project. I have already a very sizable Space Wolf force. I'm going to do another video on this, as I mentioned with the Space Wolf book, because there's now a lot of that I can't really use. But there's obviously the new Ranger stuff coming out that I really want to get. The Logan Grimnar looks absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to get that model. And then I have some Desert Shrubs. I have a small number of Astra Militarum models that I wanted to do into a small Astra Militarum force. And it was all going to be very desert themed. I've already done a Sentinel as a kind of test for a couple of different reasons, actually, which we'll get into potentially another video. I need to check about the permissions on that one. That one will be entered into Iron Skull this coming weekend, along with 2 other minis, one of which I will show you shortly. And then the other thing that I got from Siege Scenics was snow basing material. I've not found one that I'm actually happy with yet, so I'm hoping this is going to be the winner. James assures me that it's very, very good. He would, though, because he's made it. I have every faith in him. Let's put it that way. And then we also stopped by the Comet Lord miniatures stand. There were loads and loads and loads of 3D printed models at the show. These ones really caught my eye, especially this and a few of their other kits really caught my eye, because I thought it was a really cool concept. And as I was looking at it, I had ideas whirring in my head about different color schemes to use. It's a different kind of model to what I'm used to painting. It's much bigger than the models I'm used to painting. That is essentially it. The half ghoul-like looking lady, she seems to have her face half melted off, so you've got half face, half skull, standing on a creepy looking mummy hand, complete with the bones in the end of the hand where it's been lopped off. And she comes with 1 wing, which is beautifully printed, I must say. So 1 wing. Sorry about the light. Okay, I need a new light. So 1 wing, and she got a really big looking hammer. And the other arm, and its own little marble base, or marble style base. So I was in my head as I was looking at it, I was envisioning many different color schemes that I'd like to give a try. They had lots of cool models on their stand. Largely, you can use them in a number of different sci-fi and fantasy games, but they seem to be largely aimed at D&D, especially when you see something that looks like something else from D&D that I won't go into. But yeah, they were really, really cool. So I picked up one of their sculpts. Check them out on online. Like I said, Comet Lord miniatures. They're really, really cool. And then yeah, Siege Scenics. Go have a look at those. I will most likely be getting some more stuff. They do some really cool moss pads as well, which is something that I've not really seen before. And they do them for a number of landscapes. So they do the 4 seasons of your typical Earth scene, like these ones, but they also do some alien ones. Now the alien ones, or at least some of the ones that I looked at, they're really, really cool, like pearlescent 2-tone things. So depending on how you're holding it, you'll see different colors coming through the moss pad, and it looks really, really cool. I will probably pick some of them up for my Eldar army, which was incidentally the first ever army that I had for 40k. There's a whole other video out there that I could do for my start in the hobby journey. It is very similar to a lot of other people start in their hobby journey. But yeah, if I ever interview anyone, we might get into that topic there. We'll see. Lots and lots of scope for a channel on here in the hobby space. Some lore videos would be quite cool too, but that's a narrow market, and Luton and Arbiter Ian take up a big old space of that one. Iron Skull this coming weekend. I promised you a show of one of my entries, and now you'll notice the model I just showed you from Comet Lord is a resin print. I very much have a love-hate relationship with resin prints right now because of this. Here is my Rascaltown Goblin that I'm doing for Iron Skull. There are far better images of this on my Instagram page. This has had a rough start in life, to say the least. It has broken 3 times. First time was my own stupidity, let's be honest. I was balancing it on what was going to be its base, or part of its base makeup, and it fell on the floor. And we have hard floors in our house, on the ground floor, and it didn't bounce. It shattered into 6 pieces. So it was then repaired. Only this fool didn't pin the feet, and the ankles are really, really thin. So when it came to shipping that off to MPO, because I wasn't able to make it on the Saturday, I spoke to the MPO team and the Cult Paint team, and they very kindly let me post my models out. So I made a sturdy wooden box. I put the model in there. I fixed the plinth to the box so it couldn't shift around in there, and there was bubble wrap and stuff in and around the model. But unfortunately, that wasn't enough. When I got to MPO on the Sunday for the awards and to pick up my models and check out everyone else's entries, I didn't see mine anywhere on the table. This one, anyway. I did enter 2 more. They were there, and I was very surprised to win a commended for one of them because I was not expecting anything for those at all. I just wanted to put them in to see how far they get. This one, the one I was banking on the most, was nowhere to be seen. So I went and had a quick chat with the Cult Paint team. They knew exactly who I was. Henry must have been talking about me to the team, so they knew to expect me. And regrettably, it broke in the post on the way there, despite all my efforts to keep it safe. And it was just simply, must have just been either put down too hard or just the vibrations of it traveling. The ankle snapped. It was a clean break, so I was able to repair it. And I then broke it again when I sat down at the table the other night, and I swung my arm round and knocked it off the damn base yet again. So it's been repaired. So yes, resin minis, love-hate relationship. You can get a lot of detail in the resin minis, more so than the old plastic ones and the old metal ones. Damn, that stuff's fragile. Anyway, that's going to Iron Skull now. After I finish tweaking it, ready for this weekend coming, along with 2 more entries, one of which was the entry that won a commended at MPO. I'll see how far I get to Iron Skull. And the Sentinel that I mentioned, that is also going. So I've got an entry in 3 categories. So, yeah. There's a lot floating around in the noggin. There's a lot of potential plans that I want to move forward with. Many of them are ambitious, especially given that I'm already self-employed, already trying to run a business, but wanting to shift into a different business, shall we say, but still kind of encompasses the one that I'm in now. That doesn't really make any sense, does it? So I'm a joiner, and I want to focus my joinery efforts onto hobby-related projects, such as beautiful solid oak dice tray. This one rectangular. This one hexagonal. I have a number of these built at time of filming, at least, that I'm going to be putting up for sale. I have a website, madhousehobbies.co.uk. That will hopefully, at some stage in the not too dim distance, have its own online store where I can sell the aforementioned dice trays. I do have some prototype dice towers that I've made, just relatively simple design, but out of nice material. And I want to move forward into more hobby-related furniture, such as your gaming tables. I want to do some dedicated hobby setups. So for the hobbyists that aren't necessarily gamers, they have their paint stations, so on and so forth. But not just 40k related. You have board games, you have card games, you have role-play games. There's a plethora of things out there that you could do these things for. I know there are many companies out there already, so that's why I mentioned it's not a new breakout market. It's very much entering an existing market that might be a bit tough to do, but I know I'll be making a quality product. It's teething problems at the moment, so it's time to do the prototypes. It's time to do the marketing, which I have no idea how to do. Marketing is not my strong suit. I never had to do it before. These are things I want to chat to people in the industry who have done this kind of thing before, hence my chat with Pete the Wargamer about Kickstarter. And hopefully I can have a bit of a conversation with James from Siege about how he launched Siege Scenics with Adam, because it might be a different kind of product, but I'm thinking the startup and the scaling is going to be similar. I don't know. I think that's going to be about it for this video. You've got a bit of background about many things that I want to do videos on. You've got a little bit of a background on me. As I said at the start of this is a journey. I need to figure out how I'm going to edit this video to cut out a lot of the ums, if I can cut out some of the ums. I need to get better at speaking to that little lens over there, so I'm not going all the time. Ironically, like that. I need to stop saying I need to perfect my cadence. I need to perfect the way I talk to you people, you lovely people who potentially are watching this video. And I'm hoping very much that in a couple of years' time, after doing many, many more videos, that I will look back at this video and I will be sat with my head in my hands, cringing at how god-awful this is. I'm hoping that's going to be the case in the nicest possible way. And on that note, go and check out Madhouse Hobbies on Instagram. That is my hobby page. That is where I started. It started as Madhouse Mini Painting, and there is a little bit of a story behind the name. Not an amazing story, but there's a little bit of a story behind the name. And it's now evolved into Madhouse Hobbies because I feel that is more encompassing of everything that I want to do. Check out Madhouse Hobbies on Facebook as well. The two are linked because Zuckerberg owns both. So they're obviously linked. And then there's YouTube. I will, at some stage, if things go well and I get a bit of a following on here, set up a Discord. There's going to be streaming that I'll be doing eventually when I have a proper setup for the camera, because I want to do two view streaming, so you can see what I'm painting, and then you can look at me. Not that you really want to look at me, but it's nice to have a face that can stare back at you and talk to you. So yes, there's that. The website as well, as I mentioned, madhousehobbies.co.uk. There will be an online shop on there. There will eventually be a Patreon. My Patreon will eventually be set up, as I mentioned. Lots to do, lots to think about, lots to mumble about, lots to ramble about. And cool. That's the end of this one. Catch you all in the next one. Have a good one. Look after yourselves.